Between filming for the new Hell's Kitchen season and spending some quality time with his mini version, that's what's new with the chef. And what's new here on this channel? Check it out.
Is that the bass from 10 minutes ago, or is that a fresh one you cooked?
Yes, the times when HK chefs were caught cheating, lying, or worse. In the second service of Season 9, for Brendan, things were about to go downhill really quickly. Let me preface by saying people tell lies for all sorts of reasons. Some folks might not have a strong moral compass, so they don't think lying is unethical. Then there are those who lie when they're stressed or anxious, like when they're in a tough spot. But then you've got some people who lie just for the fun of it, even when everything's going their way and they're feeling on top of the world. They get a thrill out of pulling the wool over someone's eyes. So, in which category will you put this charmer here?
Because I'm going to turn this fucking kitchen upside down.
Here's what went down. Brendan ran into a few issues. But guess what it did? It exposed his conniving ways.
Oh, chef, you've got to work as a team, please!
He fired a sea bass for a table when nobody else was ready to send it out. Obviously, Chef Ramsay wasn't too happy about that, so he gave him an earful, telling him to communicate better and drop another sea bass. Now, here's where things get interesting. When Brendan sent out his second attempt at the sea bass, Chef Ramsay got suspicious. He presumed Brendan might have sent out the sea bass that had been cooked 10 minutes before. And so, he asked Brendan if he did, and what did this fucker do?
You didn't start a fresh one?
Yes, I did, chef.
So where's the old one then?
Threw it away, chef.
Show me.
Yeah.
Yep, he had the audacity to deny it, saying he started a fresh one. But if we know anything about Chef Ramsay, it's that he cannot be fooled. Obviously, he wasn't convinced and asked to see the older one. And what did Brendan do? He went to the garbage bin to look for the old sea bass. I mean, the theatrics definitely made for sweet, sweet television, not gonna lie.
Chef, I can't find it.
But wait until you see what he came back with. Well, nothing. Just empty hands and a guilty conscience. His sly move would easily make it to the top 5 greatest fuck-ups of HK. Anyway, Chef Ramsay didn't take too kindly to that and asked Brendan if he was lying. What's more, he even threatened to shut down the kitchen too. That was so eerie. Even hardened criminals would give up, so Brendan stood no chance. He knew the jig was up. He must have felt the heat because he eventually confessed that the sea bass was indeed old.
Why?
Start a new bass.
Sorry.
Start a new bass. Stop. Everybody stop.
Yeah, he only did that because, for one, he had no other way out. He was caught red-handed, and most importantly, he was trying to save face.
And turn me out like that.
Yes, chef. Fire me again.
In all honesty, Brendan was probably shitting his pants when he realized that Chef Ramsay wasn't buying into his elaborate schemes.
I'll send you out there and then. Let me tell you that.
Yes, chef.
Later, when he finally had another go at the sea bass, unfortunately for him, it turned out to be raw. Chef Ramsay had had enough and kicked the men out of the kitchen. It was a tough night for Brendan, that's for sure, and his blatant attempt at lying didn't do him any favors in Chef Ramsay's eyes. That raw food was the end of Chef Ramsay's patience, and he cleared the entire blue team out of the kitchen.
Up in the face, literally taking your dick out and whipping it across my chin.
Fuck!
Perfect summation. That's how I feel when I work hard on a video and it gets only like 100 views. Anyway, remember how he couldn't stop bragging about his background? Everyone was clearly annoyed.
Always had the label potential on me. Time I ever made a meal and served it to my family, they loved it. Loved it.
So, what was your esteemed family's reaction when they saw you getting busted trying to lie on national TV, huh?
My parents were like, oh my God, look what he can do. It was like my eyes lit up.
Well, blah, 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 blah.
Gloater, grifter, that's what he was. Moving on to this genius from Season 1 who thought he could impress Chef Ramsay by taking shortcuts. If everything I talked about earlier is any indication, you know how well that went for him. So what happened is, after the blue team lost the blind taste test, they were hit with a punishment that was a real double whammy. Not only did they have to tackle a mountain of dirty dishes, but they also had the honor of unlocking the storage room during the busy service. Sounds like a piece of cake, right? But our pal, Andrew Benito, being the genius he was, decided he couldn't be bothered with all that nonsense. He thought he could crack the code and save everyone some precious minutes. So, what was his brilliant idea?
Just fucking do it. Just do what I'm asking.
Who needs to follow the rules when you can just cheat your way through it? And who caught him red-handed this time? Not Chef Ramsay, but sous chef Scott. And let me tell you, he was livid.
Get that fucking tape off of there and get the fuck back in there. You think I'm fucking stupid?
Even sous chef Scott, who has definitely seen some crazy stuff, couldn't believe the audacity of our hero here. Needless to say, things got seriously heated. Sous chef Scott really lost his cool, and you can't say it wasn't a sight to behold.
Why don't you try being as serious as these people are on your team instead of being a jerk?
Chef, I'm gonna bring those down right now.
Fans have argued that Chef Scott is secretly scarier than Chef Ramsay when he's angry. And honestly, I don't disagree. I've got plenty of thoughts about the guy. I made a video about him recently that proves that much and more. Give it a watch if you haven't already. Anyway, what do you think happened next?
You just ruined it for you because he was taping the door. When you need him, you gotta come in here and get one.
Well, sous chef Scott took that tray of chicken and promptly returned it to where it belonged, the storage room. Meanwhile, the entire team had to start from scratch, all thanks to our man Andrew. Teamwork makes the dream work, but when teamwork's not working, it's a hell of a nightmare. But guess what? Andrew's day was far from over. He ended up being one of the lucky few who got punished for messing up the punishment. As if one punishment wasn't enough. Well, if only he had played by the rules, we wouldn't be talking about him right now. But in spite of it all, some contestants really pushed the competition's limits to have their way. Just like this next contestant, who was trying to cover up her mistake, was caught by Chef Ramsay. You see, if you're up to no good, one of two things is gonna happen. The cameras are gonna see it, or Chef Ramsay's gonna see it. Take a guess which of the two caught onto it when Andrea Heinley was in charge of the meat station in the 5th service of season 5.
8 minutes? Yes, it's gonna get done, okay?
While Andrea hides her Wellingtons, it's now time for Jay.
So what did she do? Andrea decided to pull a dirty move and sneakily hid some of those burnt Wellingtons under the counter. And when Chef Ramsay questioned her about it, this is what she had to say.
There you go. Dear fucking pile of shit.
Did she really try to act like she was refiring them? I am always amazed at the length some of these chefs will go to cover their tracks. But come on, Chef Ramsay was gonna uncover her hidden stash of ruined meat at some point. And you can bet your bottom dollar things were about to get seriously heated. Her comeback was just, I don't know how it burned. Like, seriously? Come on, I'll walk you through it. Too much heat for too long makes burnt food. That's just like science or something. As for Chef Ramsay's next move, he rounded up the entire red team to witness the magnificent sight. And just to spice things up, this is what he did next.
That's it, is
That's
it?
it, Chef.
What are you doing?
Trying to get it together, Chef.
Andrea was seriously lucky she didn't get eliminated right on the spot. I mean, Chef Ramsay's made better chefs hit the road for less. Anyway, when she tried to bounce back, she claimed her Wellingtons needed an extra 4 minutes. But Chef Ramsay, sharp as ever, reminded her that she had already said the same thing earlier. Oh, Andrea, your timing skills were just impeccable. And let's not even talk about your communication with Carol Scott on the fish station.
How long?
Chef, I'm about 2 minutes out.
Are you 2 minutes out? You
That was next level insane.
Big time.
Yes, chef.
And I'm getting really pissed off because nothing's happening. Now can you work as a team?
Yes, Chef.
You see, Chef Ramsay was counting on those Wellingtons to be ready on time, but with the timing changing every time he asked, and not in the way you'd expect given, well, time, he just lost it.
It's more than 2 hours into dinner service, and with both kitchens at a near standstill.
And if Andrea giving Chef Ramsay a hard time wasn't crazy enough, Colleen Cleek decided to join in on the madness when her dessert came back raw.
Has totally collapsed.
Christ almighty. 2.5 hours of bullshit.
Colleen, well, C was a grifter who was, like Chef Ramsay said, cheating off her students by charging what? $300 when she couldn't differentiate salt from sugar. Poor Chef Ramsay was totally done for the day. I mean, just look at him.
When I say I've had enough, I've had enough.
After all the chaos, it was crystal clear that both the teams deserved to be joint losers. Yet, the red team managed to snag the consolation prize of being the best of the worst. In the midst of the deliberations, Andrea finally owned up to her terrible performance. I'd have used stronger language, but it was a good start at least. She gracefully told LA, the brains behind the nominations, that she wouldn't hold it against her if she chose Andrea. Noble move, Andrea, very noble indeed. And when the moment of truth arrived, surprise surprise, Andrea became LA's pick for elimination alongside Jay Maxwell from the blue team. But Andrea had one last trick up her sleeve. She wanted to return to the meat station and prove she could handle it. And believe it or not, Andrea survived the elimination. Because, you know, one stormy night doesn't matter when you firmly believe you're destined to win it all. Confidence, I tell you, is a powerful thing. If Chef Ramsay's kitchen was hell, this chef would be the first one to be put in the 8th circle of the Inferno.
That's way up the table.
And Tiffany's behavior was seriously annoying. I mean, she had this nasty habit of getting wasted, spreading gossip and making things worse, creating all this unnecessary drama and tension within the team.
Food, shut up. I want to hear it.
She can't cook chicken. Cooking a breast of chicken is about as easy as taking it.
What a troublemaker, I tell ya. What really got under my skin was her double standards, which are easily in the top 3 of her worst qualities. She'd go around saying she didn't like kids and thought they wouldn't appreciate good food. Like, that gave her an excuse to serve them burnt pizza.
Put the knife on the bottom of your lip
Yes, chef.
and then put the knife back in.
Yes, chef.
She'd turn around and relentlessly make fun of the blue team for messing up during service, as if she was way above everyone else.
Here's how you treated me, okay? You're here, I'm here. Don't do that.
Also funny how she kept preaching about how they shouldn't care about their pride and only focus on the customers.
It's not about you in this competition. It's about the fucking customer and the food. Do you realize that?
Well, guess what, Tiffany? Those kids you dissed, they're customers too, and they deserve a decent dining experience, just like anyone else. Oh, and let's not forget her weird potato creation. I mean, the people who tried that mess were customers too, and honestly, it looked like a potential health hazard. Tiffany's double standards and her knack for causing drama really rubbed me the wrong way. She really played dirty by intentionally sending out an incomplete order of scallops just to make Barbie look bad and shift the blame. It was all about her personal grudge, not giving a damn about the team's performance.
Here you go, Barbie, because that's where you belong.
And let me tell you, Miss Machiavelli wasn't exactly the picture of honesty either. She even suggested we cook extra sea basses as a kind of insurance policy. I mean, what even?
Why don't we fire like 4 more fucking bass right now too, okay? Pick it up and get this food out, okay, guys?
But here's the kicker. We actually cooked Dory to order. What was she thinking?
To be cooked to order. It's fish.
I don't understand why I'm getting yelled at, customer. I mean, I'm pissed off that he's mad at me.
When Chef Ramsay confronted her, she didn't own up to her mistakes. Instead, she threw her teammates under the bus, and the entire team got yelled at as a result.
Get out! Hey, you. Take that with you. Get out of my fucking sight. Get out!
To make matters worse, she acted like she had nothing to do with it in the first place.
Shit, fucking idiot! What is wrong with you? Bitch, stop!
Her behavior during that service just screamed, I'm in it for myself, rather than being a team player. You remember that incident from episode 5, right? So, Roy started griping about Mexican cuisine, throwing around these cliched comments about flour tortillas, and even boasting that he could whip up better tacos than Kimmy, who hails from Memphis.
From Memphis is not gonna make a better fucking flavored taco than, especially when you're going into a taco challenge that's supposed to be somewhat traditional, you don't use flour tortillas.
But then there's Tiffany, who had previously been all about this no whining policy, but she couldn't resist the urge to stir the pot. She took a big swig of wine, got herself pretty hammered, and spilled the beans to Kimmy and Robin.
The whole like, oh, she's from the South and why was she using flour tortillas type of shit.
I got the fucking point though, right?
Exactly.
I think she would have thrived in a career where they make money writing tabloid scoop. I mean, seriously, whenever she popped up on the screen, I just wanted to hit that mute button. Instead of handling the issue constructively, she used Royce's complaints as a way to pin the blame on Danielle, Dana, and Christina.
I said Dana and Christina and Danielle said something like...
Can you believe it? She started spreading the word that it wasn't Royce who made those remarks, but those three. Naturally, it created a rift, whose effects were disastrous in the Mexican service.
I don't understand where all those girls' heads are at. I didn't see Christina pull a point.
But this incident revealed more about Tiffany because what are rumors anyway but an ego massage tool for the weak? And she never cleared up the air. However, I totally loved it when sous chef Andy called her out.
No, you're not!
Okay, I'm not.
And with that, Karen became the only contestant to this date to be kicked out of the kitchen by a sous chef.
Attitude, why don't you take a walk and date it?
Have fun.
Quite the illustrious record, no? But what this next contestant did had to have been the most absurd way of cheating, bar none. I'm talking about Jeremy Madden. I mean, seriously, the guy was a total mess. Not only could he not cook, but he also managed to single-handedly ruin the blue team's entire day in the most efficient and spectacular way possible. And then there was Ray Alongi, who blamed the poor pans for dropping the eggs. But let me tell you, Jeremy takes the cake for being even worse.
Jeremy, hey, he's not even answering me.
Remember that time when he couldn't even hear the orders and drove Chef Ramsay up the wall? And when he was confronted about it, he just admitted he didn't hear a thing.
I wasn't able to hear it, Chef.
And let's not forget the audacity he had to stand up to Chef Ramsay, even though he couldn't even make croissants to save his life. Just look at him, standing there doing jack. All I can say is, Chef Ramsay was just as bewildered as I was, if not more.
Jeremy standing in the middle there like that with his breakfast.
Oh, but wait, the Jeremy saga continues. After what felt like an eternity, he finally showed up with the croissant. But where's the smoked salmon? If it's not one thing, it's gonna be another as far as Jeremy is concerned. After idly standing around, Jeremy suddenly felt an urgent need to rush things. So he asked Dan Ryan for a plate to walk with, even though he wasn't done yet. I guess rules don't really apply to him, do they?
Can I walk this plate? No.
Hurry up!
And you won't believe this part. When all the plates were ready to go to the pass, Chef Ramsay noticed something off about one of them. Lo and behold, it was Jeremy's plate that caught his attention. And this wasn't just any old plate, or, well, it was in this case because it had been plated an hour ago. Love how the camera panned to him the moment Chef Ramsay said, "disgusting pig." And like, did he even realize the gravity of the mistake he just made? The dude deserved every ounce of Chef Ramsay's fury for sure.
And you want to serve that?
In Dan's defense, he did say no to Jeremy quite loudly when the latter was rushing with the sample plate. This reminds me of another screw-up. Do you remember the season 14 Alaskan Fish Challenge? Adam and Millie had paired up for it, and things soon became rough. When they first got their hands on the fish from the icy waters, Adam admitted he had a little chilly shock, but they managed to handle their pieces just fine, which was
Halibut, halibut, halibut.
You got it, you got it, you got it.
Yep, halibut. The judges, Chef Ramsay and Michael Cimarusti, were in the hot seat, and Adam stepped up to present his masterpiece, a pan-seared halibut accompanied by some grilled baby bok choy and basmati rice.
Let's just tie this thing, please. Let's just tie this thing.
Alright, let's start with the good. The judges were pretty pleased with the flavor of Adam's fish. A win in the taste department, it seemed. But soon enough, Adam found himself in some scalding water. Millie dished up his halibut with cheese alongside some bell pepper rice, and the judges' spidey senses tingled. They suspected Adam and Millie of sharing ingredients.
So bell pepper rice. How did you guys both wind up with rice on the dish?
But did they? Chef Ramsay pressed on them too.
Did you take some of Millie's rice? I'm gonna cut the bullshit. Did you take Millie's rice?
Looks like they were on thin ice, chillier than the icy waters of the challenge.
Yes, sir.
What the hell are you doing?
Oops, it looks like he broke a rule. Turns out, as they got down to cooking, Adam hit a snag. His risotto was lagging behind schedule, and panic mode was setting in. Millie, being the good teammate that he is, swooped in with a generous offering. He willingly shared some of his own rice to save the day. But you have to give it to Adam. At least he didn't try to play it cool. He owned up to the whole ordeal. However, Chef Ramsay wasn't having any of it. You just cannot borrow a part of the dish from your fellow contestant and call it your own.
This was your dish. Absolutely, sir. So, no shared ingredients. You got it, chef. Not good.
Chef Ramsay was so pissed that he gave Adam the dreaded disqualification. As a result, the pair took a hit in the challenge, and the blue team ended up scoring a less than ideal 1-3. You see, no matter who, what, and where cheating's a no-go, but there was this one user who had a wild take. My friend Carlos thinks that Adam shouldn't have fessed up to cheating. Instead, he should have stuck to his guns and told a big old fib. His idea was, what if two contestants accidentally used rice in their dishes? It could just be a fluke. Basically, he believed Adam could have skated right through the mess, without getting disqualified. Now, personally, I don't agree with that. I actually think it was pretty darn admirable of Adam to own up to his mistake, instead of spinning a tall tale. Sure, he could have lied his way out of it, but that'd be unfair. The courage it took to come clean was the standout moment here. It showed us that he's a genuine person, even with the slip-up. By now, all contestants should know that lying to Chef Ramsay's face is the wackiest thing you could do.
That's why I called you fuckface. Because you're fucking them and you're fucking them.
I think you already know who I am talking about. During the HK3K service challenge, Zach was in charge of the fish station. When Chef Ramsay discovered a tray of already cooked salmon, Zach tried to pass them off as just seared. He brought the tray over to Chef Ramsay, and boy, the famous chef wasn't pleased. He reminded Zach that salmon can't be cooked twice, and that Hell's Kitchen ain't no fast food joint. Here. So Chef Ramsay shut that down and ordered Zach to start over. Near the end, Barrett sent his wraps to the pass, and Zach still wasn't ready with his salmon. He said they were coming, but when they finally got to the pass with Dan's help, this is what happened. But Zach pulled a crazy move.
Jeff told me that I can't use that I had just cooked off.
Yep, he tried to sneak into the back, pick up an old piece of salmon, and toss it in the pan to finish it off. Chef Ramsay was furious and asked if he used it, to which Zach swore he didn't. Chef Ramsay didn't buy it, naturally, and asked again, but Zach stuck to his story.
Did you take salmon from the back and reheat it?
I tried to.
Yes or no?
No.
Wow, this man was committed to the bit. But don't say we didn't warn you, Zach.
Chef Ramsay's not stupid. He knows what's going on.
Amen. He swiftly pushed him off the salmon and replaced him with Jeremy. However, this wasn't the only time Zach was trying to deceive Chef Ramsay. After their 12th dinner service, he really tried to pull a fast one on the ladder during that elimination play. So, because the blue team had a tie between Michael and he, Chef Ramsay called them both up front. Ramsay asked Zach if he thought he was better than Michael. And what did Zaz say? He confidently said he was, and even claimed he could kick it up a notch when there were only 3 guys left because 3 dishes on the menu were his own creations. But then Anthony chimed in, saying they all contributed to the menu ideas. Uh-oh, really cringed hard seeing him try to cover up his ass.
My team, but the basis of the dish was all me.
Oh boy, there was no getting out of this one. He kept digging himself a bigger grave with every word. Man, did he have a meteoric decline. And well, Chef Ramsay made sure to call him out on that brutally.
Is that BS?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
See, you cannot bluff your way out of Ramsay's game. Sebastian was the Joan of Arc in giving him that little nickname. And I think Chef Ramsay is finally in agreement. And hey, it's now a well-known legend that saying those 2 words in front of the mirror at midnight will summon an angry Gordon Ramsay. You can type it down in the comments at your own risk. Moving on, this contestant from Season 4, who thought keeping an entire list of orders on hold would somehow help her teammates get their act together. Now, I have no idea what she was expecting, but what it resulted in was a whole bunch of diners who were left waiting for hours on end. What happened is, Roseanne Fama was put on duty as an assistant maitre d' in the second episode. Just as the service kicked off, Roseanne was taking her sweet time with the first set of orders. It looked like forever before the orders made it to Chef Ramsay's hands in the kitchen. Seeing this, JP was worried that Chef Ramsay would blow his top even before the chefs had turned on their burners.
Oh my god. Thank you.
And what do you know, Roseanne took a whole 37 minutes until she finally rolled in with her first ticket.
Move your ass.
Yes, sir, chef.
Let's go.
Chef Ramsay couldn't understand the reason behind her laid-back attitude. He made sure to give her a quick lesson on urgency and commanded her to hustle. Well, any other contestant would have taken his words seriously. I mean, it's not every day that Chef Ramsay lets you go with just a warning. However, 2 hours into the madness, Roseanne kicked herself into overdrive. She finally decided to hand Chef Ramsay a ticket she'd scribbled down more than an hour ago. Well, not hand in, she threw it in. Slyly.
It came on nearly an hour ago. Oh no.
And what was her excuse? Well, take a look at this.
I want to bombard you all at once and give them to you.
What?
That was her justification. Roseanne had held onto a bunch of tickets only because she didn't want to overwhelm Chef Ramsay. Oh, how considerate of her. Well, Chef Ramsay's reaction should be enough to tell you what he thought about that little idea.
For 2 hours, chef, to be perfect.
What?
The man was confused as hell. I mean, what the hell was she even talking about? It's crazy to think that you've already placed your order and it hasn't even made its way to the kitchen yet after 2 hours had crawled by. Quite expectedly, the red team crashed and burned that service. Not surprising why Roseanne was at her wit's end during the deliberations. She was pretty sure her days were numbered, but despite that, she tried to maintain a positive attitude. Still, she was 100% responsible for the sluggish pace the red team ran at that night, and which is why it was pretty shocking when she managed to dodge the bullet that was eliminated that night. Girl got lucky, let me tell ya. This next contestant who totally brushed off Chef Ramsay's direction and decided to do her own thing. But when Chef Ramsay caught wind of it, things went from zero to hysterical real quick. You know how challenges involving eggs are always egg-citing, right? Well, anyway, Season 7's Egg Relay Challenge was no different. The goal was to cook up 4 egg dishes,
Poached, soft boiled, sunny side up, and scrambled.
Sounds like a walk in the park, right? But here's the twist. It was all about testing if the chefs could handle the heat and cook something as basic as eggs without stumbling. Now, the red team was 1 member short, and since it was a paired challenge.
Yes, chef.
You're on your own today.
Yes, chef.
How tough could that be? Turns out, it's way more difficult than you could imagine. The teams had a measly 5 minutes to cook the eggs to perfection. But, oh boy, Siobhan started freaking out because she was flying solo. And then, she made the mother of all mistakes when she decided to team up with Autumn Lewis and Fran Clear without Chef Ramsay's permission. Now, whether it was under pressure or not, Siobhan had just thrown Chef Ramsay's instructions right out the window.
We had 5 minutes to make these eggs. I thought immediately, you know what? Siobhan's got all this to do herself.
And Autumn ended up getting her hands on the sunny side up, which is helpful, but you are in hell. When it was time for the judgment, Chef Ramsay threw her a curveball and asked how long she boiled the soft egg for. And what was her answer? You won't believe what she said.
Boil it for.
I just cook them every day, chef, so I kind of grasp for how long they're cooked for.
And Chef Ramsay's face says it all. He was like, "Are you serious?" But wait, it gets even worse.
My teammates helped me, chef.
Your teammates helped you.
Yes, chef.
Siobhan's explanation pushed all of Chef Ramsay's buttons. Like, what pressure is she even talking about? Truth is, Chef Ramsay would have actually given her a dish a pass. Well, obviously he knew she was working all by herself.
Yes, chef.
I asked you to work on your own.
Yes,
Because you put you out, singled you out, thinking you cook fucking eggs 4 ways.
I could and I wanted to.
But Siobhan left him stunned when she started blaming her teammates for her action.
Why didn't you?
Because there was pressure from my team. Are you serious? From not from my team, from Autumn.
Okay, I don't remember anyone forcing her to do anything. Autumn just threw out an idea and Siobhan went with it. So it's totally on her.
So you only poached 1 egg in 5 minutes.
I did 2 poached eggs.
Yikes. Anyway, when she realized things were crashing down around her, she decided to break down. Like, come on, like as if crying was gonna make anything better.
How can I make it any more fucking clearer than that?
I should have pushed her out of the way, and I'm so mad at myself.
Well, this challenge wasn't all that exciting after all, right? But in this next episode, you'll witness how contestants tried to cheat and sabotage each other at the same time. Let's dive into the chaos of episode 3, season 12. Mike Arista was working at the fish station with Chris. But hold on, because this is when things got wild. Mike straight up told Chris to drop the scallops when it wasn't time yet. And well, Chris was obviously pretty confused.
Now you confuse me.
Was this part of Mike's devious plan to throw Chris under the bus for making a mistake? Well, it sure looked like it. And Chris, still confused as all hell, called out Mike for acting like a complete idiot. And this is when the real fun began. When Chef Ramsay called out for the next dish, Mike brought this uncrusted halibut to the pass, something Chris had totally forgotten about.
One halibut!
Although Chris tried to stop him, Mike was determined to have his way. And, well, his plan to sabotage Chris finally worked its magic. But Mike wasn't done yet. He walked up with another halibut, and this time he had his eyes on DeMarco. You see, DeMarco had forgotten to leave the bone in his chicken, which meant it needed a refire.
Got to fucking leave the bone on.
Chef Ramsay couldn't understand why the team's cooperation was going so poorly. Despite the warning, Scott ran out of patience and walked his lamb to the pass, not wanting to wait for the halibut.
I don't get it. I do not understand the stupidity in it.
And that was the end of it. That one mistake got the entire blue team kicked out of the kitchen, and it was like everyone was trying to cheat to get ahead and send their dish out to the pass before anyone else had a chance to. There was no communication, no teamwork, or whatsoever. Just full-blown aggro and sabotage. This next contestant made a grave mistake that could have potentially affected his personal life. In Season 16, Episode 7, things took a romantic turn in the dorms. Andrew, Pierce, and Heather decided to get cozy and cuddle up together. But here's the kicker, Andrew made it crystal clear that he and Heather were just friends. However, even with his wedding a short few months away, Andrew didn't mind keeping the flirtatious vibe going.
In a couple months, so it's probably not going to be a strong relationship.
Talk about a showmance. But let's address the elephant in the room. Dude was blatantly cheating on his fiancée right in front of the cameras. This little tryst was a completely different kind of cheating. Heather later clarified that she had no idea Andrew was engaged.
On the show. I had no idea. And I put that on my life, my kid's life. Like, I had no idea at all.
You didn't know on a plane. You didn't know when you first met him. You didn't know.
Knew nothing.
There's more to it. Heidi knew about the thing, and even though Heather and her were friends, Heidi didn't bother warning Heather. Plus, listen to this.
Tells me about his fiance right before the families come out. So I'm more concerned about my child being there. That's all I care about. And like, that episode gets me every time.
She also revealed that she was pretty mad that the show edited it in a way that made her seem like she was intentionally cheating.
What gets me is they don't show me finding out about Andrew's fiance and me freaking out. They show me looking at Heidi going, awkward.
I mean, this is Hell's Kitchen, not Temptation Island. The production and editing team screwed her up bad. And then, of course, we have the finisher.
Lift the bottom of the Wellington over.
And that, my friend, is Brad. In my opinion, he deserved a spot in the Black Jackets. He showed mad skills, even though he had a bit of a stumble in his last two services, especially the risotto gate. Still, I believe he had the potential to bounce back from those setbacks and prove himself in the later stages of the competition. What do you think? Anyway, back to the third service. When asked for a time on those Wellingtons, he responded saying,
Hold on, there's someone being dishonest.
But what did he do? He took a Wellington he just cooked, and instead of tossing it, he tried to scrape off the burnt bits. Sneaky move, right? But Chef Ramsay had eagle eyes and spotted him in the act.
Oh, come on.
It was a close call that Wellington might have hit the plate if Chef Ramsay hadn't caught him red-handed and threatened to kick his ass sideways. You see, it's not like anyone wants to actually lie to Chef Ramsay. But they get so caught up in themselves that they end up lying just to save their asses over something negligible. If you ask me, it's always better to say it to Ramsay like it is. Cause when you try to fabricate it with lies, Chef Ramsay is right there like a hawk, ready to chew your brains out. So, can you think of more times when contestants played dirty tricks on the show? Don't forget to let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. And if you want to watch another mind-bending video, then make sure to check out this next post right here. It's even crazier.